welcome to the Rockwardness Podcast.
You made it. Congrats.
Yeah, you know what we do here?
We get rockward.
Yeah, we sure
Always.
do. We also, every episode, talk to a musician we love about their musical journey from its earliest beginnings to the present, and they play us one of the first songs they ever wrote. We're your hosts. I'm Rose Sean.
I'm Terence LeClaire.
And I'm Tony Tancredi.
And the present is their present that they bring.
That's
Yes.
true. Their presence so far has always been a present.
Yeah, it's a gift.
Truly a joy, actually. And on today's episode, we're talking to John Velasquez. He's an accomplished songwriter and producer for artists such as Zella Day and Ella Voss and Lily Joy. He is also a hell of a nice guy. Tony, how did you meet John?
Well, I met John on a tour in 2014 for the band Banta. I was a hired drummer, he was a hired guitar player, and we quickly became friends because we shared the front of the van, and I would sleep on the bench and he would sleep on the floor in the crevasse, and then we'd switch spots, you know, and he was so happy to do it, and I was just blown away by his niceness. He's just the most amazing dude.
It sounds so much fancier, the crevasse.
Yeah, that's why I
Crevasse.
say it like that, because I don't want to say
I'll
like
take
the
the
dirty
crevasse.
van floor that had like chip dust everywhere, you know?
Chips.
So you guys bonded. You guys bonded quick.
Very quickly.
Yeah, well, it's easy to do. He's charming.
This is the sweetest dude ever.
The
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
Love them to the max and the moon.
That's right.
Ooh.
Let's just get right into this backyard hang with John and his equally charming and adorable dog Muppet. Here's John Velasquez.
I mean, we got one of their boxes at a party, had one of their boxes, and it was really good. And they have like, it's expensive, but it's like, it tells you where everyone comes from. It's like an experience. Everybody's making everything an experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's all about immersive experiences.
Yeah.
Well, welcome,
Welcome, John.
John,
Yeah.
to Rockwardness.
Yeah, what is it called?
Rockwardness.
Rockwardness.
Rockwardness. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. Who
It's
made
a-
that up?
That's Rose right there. Yeah.
I did.
I love that.
The Journey, the podcast that explores the fledgling first steps of musicians on their journey,
Yeah.
exploring everything. Everyone starts somewhere.
Oh, yeah. We all start somewhere. We got to write a lot of bad stuff in the beginning.
But yeah, I mean, we say this a lot too. Like a lot of times, even something that you might be embarrassed about is not necessarily objectively bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, what it is like re-exploring emotions that I had already felt like I had my epiphany with and like discovered, and then feeling juvenile again.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that made me feel like the awkwardness, where it's like, oh, I understand those things now. But then there was a part of me that I'm like, wow, I have not changed at all.
Looking through my old stuff definitely brought me to that point too. I was like, oh wow, I'm really mining the same themes. I should really, work on that.
We all get more comfortable with our awkwardness.
Or you're just like,
Yeah, you
maybe
learn how to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn how to use it, but maybe you're also like, oh, I guess I haven't worked through this yet.
Well, we talk about that a lot, and my studio is like just refinement of what you do and not trying, like we all like start by mimicking, and then as we refine what we're doing, like that's my job. Like my main job right now, I'm a producer and a songwriter and also a musical director. But like for production, there's some people that they attempt to create a sound for the artist. And I am technically trying to do that, but more so like pull the sound out of them. So on Monday, I have a session with my friend Zella Day and another really talented artist, Georgia, from this band called Broods. And like we were on the phone and I was just like, hey, just send me playlist songs that you're listening to that are really inspiring to you. They don't have to have any theme at all. And that's kind of where it starts for me. It's like we'll have lunch or we'll have an initial writing session and then we'll go in and just be like, what do you like? Like, what do you like looking at or what do you like listening to? And
Yeah.
don't feel like you have to like present it in this grand way to me.
Yeah, I definitely think that like it kind of helps you like create a shared language because or at least shared reference points, because you can be like, oh man, I really loved that particular like rim shot sound in this song.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
sometimes my inspiration
Build a whole
playlist
song
is
off
that
that.
specific. It's like it just kind of sounds like somebody was like hitting a pencil against their desk in a classroom, and it's like,
Yeah.
but
Inspiring.
yeah. But sometimes you need to show rather than tell kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's a very like huge thing where people are like, I love that drum sound. And like there's a producer I love called Sean, his name is Sean Everett, and friends of mine have worked with him, and I met him once and was at his studio. And it's so interesting because literally what you were saying, like Brittany Howard, that song Stay High, the main drum sound was like on her guitar. And then he had the drummer play with chopsticks.
On her guitar.
No, on like drums.
Oh.
And then the next day he would set up a parameter where it's like all snares.
Oh, wow.
Like everything on the drum, the kick was a snare, all tuned differently. So it's really fun to like explore those things once people get to a certain level where it's like, yeah, they could play their instrument great. Like what can you give them for a sense of constraint that they had when they were first writing their song? Kind of bringing it back to what you guys are doing.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting that's like an interesting thing to do at a more advanced level is like reintroduce limitations
Yeah.
as like a stylistic challenge, because I think like part of what's so beautiful about the things people do early on is that they're kind of doing what they can with what they have, which is usually like a limited skill set or a limited limited technology or gear or whatever.
Yeah. There was a story that Jeff Buckley apparently, like when he was, growing up, like he would like roll marbles on his guitar to see what sounds they'd make, and then like he kind of like after learning everything he learned, he kind of like went back to that mentality of just kind of like.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I was curious because that would be like the gift to have somebody when you're like just getting started in music, to have somebody there to help you, like you said, bring the music out of you and what you're trying to like, what's the stuff you're listening to and all that. Do you think maybe that journey for you started somewhere there, like as a musical director eventually, like doing it for yourself, kind of?
I think the most pivotal thing has been like, I mean, we could go way back.
Yes.
Let's do it. That's the point.
I mean, music has always been like a thing at first where it was like, I think of music in three categories. It's like when you're listening, you either have a shared experience with somebody close. You have, and with close, there's like, a friend or like someone you love. And then there's music you listen to by yourself. And then there's music you party to. So like, Beach House, I can't count how many times like I've made out to Beach House. That was like, that was like incredible. And it was like, and then I can't count how many times I've cried to Coldplay's first records, like Rush of Blood to the Head. And then for party music, like now it's so much like anxiety and working through that and making people feel comfortable now that like we're older. And it's like, putting on Mac DeMarco or like putting on something like Polo and Pan because everybody wants to get hyped. But it's like, you find all these different things. And I think that journey started with me with a couple people. I don't know.
Well, who in particular?
Interesting enough, a person I used to rollerblade with called Matt Cervantes.
Shout out, Matt.
And we used to listen to hip hop. We listened to Tupac, Biggie, No Doubt. And that got me really into it. And we had DJ names.
No way.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was yours?
Oh my God. His was DJ Amused. Mine was DJ Optimist.
Oh, DJ Optimist.
Yes.
Were you like making each other mixtapes or mix CDs?
Yeah, and we bought
cute.
one turntable, or he got one, and then we would like get records and scratch.
Oh, love it.
Love it. Cute.
Yeah.
I
I was 9.
DJ Optimist is such a great
That's
name, too.
probably
That's adorable.
my favorite DJ name of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring it back.
You should.
Yeah, right. Like if you ever
must.
just get bored and want to have like a Wednesday night DJ gig at a bar, like
Oh,
DJ
yeah.
Optimist. That's so great.
And that's when you need DJ Optimist is
Yeah.
like on a Wednesday
Yep.
Oh yeah, on a Wednesday
to
in
get you
Silver
through
Lake
the week.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like
What everybody's-
Monday nights where people actually go to shows
after
because-
hot yoga.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
after hot. So 9-year-old DJ Optimist. Checking out music he likes.
Yeah. So hip hop was like you were first noticing like The beats and stuff, the production, or just like more like the energy of it?
The attitude of it.
Yeah.
That's what drew me to it. Yeah.
Yeah, because like growing up, I grew up very religious, and now I've like worked my way into other beliefs and created my own thing that like feels really fitting for me. And I think hearing that like aggression, but done in such an eloquent way, where I'm like, oh, that's okay to feel those things, and put those things out there if they're done in a way that's like formulated and creative. And I think that's what got me. And then I got into rock music, like Jimmy Eat World, and I remember going to Borders, and fuck, man, it was the best feeling to spend $15 on a CD.
Yeah. Get
And
that
like
whole
find
album.
the deep cuts.
Yeah.
Oh man, which Jimmy Eat World record was the one for you?
Well, there was like the trifecta. There was Clarity. Clarity was like the emo record, right?
Yeah, that was like the first emo record in my opinion.
First of all time?
completely.
Well, maybe.
The only one that mattered.
Most
The first one that
mainstream.
mattered.
Yeah, maybe the first one to make it through.
Yeah, because you still had like
Oh,
the
like, I
trail
see what
off
you
of
mean,
like Pearl Jam and like Nirvana and grunge, and then I feel like, there was like some 41 and like the pop punk and Blink 182, but Jimmy Eat World like brought a seriousness.
Well, they were earnest in a way that Blink 182 and Sum 41 absolutely were not.
Oh, not at
Until
all.
Yeah.
until later on. Like,
Well,
like
yeah,
182.
they had like
Yeah.
a sensitive song or two, but yeah, Jimmy Eat World was all sensitivity all the time.
Yeah, and he's like the ultimate nerd that became a rock star.
Yeah. Well, so Clarity.
Oh, and then self-titled, obviously, because that was just amazing. And I remember like Hear You, Me.
Oh yeah.
And then, yeah, just that whole entire record, I actually had it as like my wake up record, which is kind of funny because it's like the first one is like, dur, 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 dur. So I'd wake up and I'm like,
Kind of wake up hyped. So then what's the third one in the trifecta?
Futures. I mean, Futures guitar sounds are like the guy Mike Trombino who produced it now owns Donut Friend.
Oh, really?
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That is so wild. I love Donut Friend.
Yeah, he makes great donuts now.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I love that. I also love how life is long and multifaceted.
Oh yeah, he was
Sometimes
like
you
a
just
donut.
pivot to donuts.
And
Yeah.
delicious.
He's like, I
And
made
vegan.
the
Yeah.
biggest like records and I want to move on. And it's interesting because throughout that time, because like I started with really loving hip hop, I had always like listened in between, but then I like got into more introspective like indie rock, like Block Party and The Killers. And every one of those records for me, like I think to like bring it all full circle is like music is very relationship oriented to me. Those are all like an album I share. Like my first serious girlfriend, we listened to Block Party and The Killers. Like that was the first time I fell in love. And then I remember Animal Collective was another ex that like she was like at the time was like amazing. She was like so like she was an atheist and I was like, oh my God, you're so crazy.
How controversial.
Yeah.
Animal Collect is so cool.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
interesting that you said, music is so relationship connected because especially what most popular music is written about, but yeah, like you have your song with somebody or like it's funny, specifically Yoshimi battles the Pink Robots.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Flaming
Yeah.
Lips.
Yes.
Like I have such a
That record is a lot of things for people.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
have. It's really strongly connected for me with this guy that I dated when I was 22, and solely because like the first night we hung out, we stayed up till the wee hours of the morning, just like talking in his living room, and we were so into our conversation that the album just kept replaying.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't be bothered to deal with the CD.
You created a bubble for you guys. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's what music does. It's
Yeah.
like I wonder too from your guys' perspective because you've been talking to a lot of musicians. Like such sensitive people that are such a specific breed where growing up a lot of times we use music to like fit in.
We've talked about that a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
About how what music you like really defines like who you are perceived to be or who you think you are, kind of a thing.
And especially like with social media, like MySpace comes up a lot, and it's like listing what your favorite bands are on MySpace. You know,
Yeah, like compatibility. Like that's how before Tinder you'd find girlfriends and boyfriends.
yeah.
Well,
Funny segue.
Funny you should mention that because I was just saying.
Are we gonna make a Tinder profile?
Right now, yeah, for you.
Well, I actually one of your Google hits was band dudes on Tinder Tumblr. So it was a little screenshot of your Tinder profile from I think like 2014 or something.
Oh, that's so funny. Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's hilarious.
Awesome.
But no, I was with our previous guest. I was talking about how like crucial it was on your OkCupid profile to have like a really like sick list of bands you liked, and you were really looking for that in other people.
I didn't put bands I liked on my thing.
Oh well, I guess
should
that's where you
have.
went wrong.
That's like what I love, but
Well,
I put like INFJ, coffee, the
Yeah,
normal
yeah.
fucking shit.
God, when was I even on there? I can't even remember. It's been a really, really long time, but I do remember just like stressing over like getting the list right and then really scrutinizing other people's lists. And, in retrospect, I think I was maybe focusing on probably the least important detail, but it mattered a lot at the time. Got to have a cool boyfriend, right?
Duh.
Yeah, I that was one of the things that actually was like, before I knew myself through music. And I think I learned a lot about myself through lyrics that other people wrote that I did not yet understand why I connected to them.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
That, I really like the way you phrased that. Because, did you used to just like, I don't know if any of you guys used to do this, but I used to just like, in class, I wouldn't necessarily doodle. I would just like write down lyrics to songs I liked.
That's cool.
I don't know.
I think I
Senior
used
quotes.
to. Yeah, my senior quote was a Death Cab for Cutie quote.
Yeah.
So-
what was it?
What is it? Yeah.
If only I had something charming to say.
Oh,
And it's like, Papa, this is the sound of settling.
Right.
yeah.
But that's actually kind of
That's a
super
great
perfect
quote,
though
yeah.
for a senior quote, because it's like, what the hell am I going to say? Like, it's going to be in my yearbook forever, and I'm probably not
Yeah, I
even
was
going to.
like, I don't know.
I'm not even going to remember. Like, if it's some like little inside joke, I'm not even going to remember it in 4 years.
No, or something competitive, or like,
Yeah.
sleep is for the weak. I should have done something like that. That would have been fucking hilarious.
Just that, nothing else.
I love that that's what you picked out of the air.
Yeah.
So, okay, so sorry. It's just such a solid choice.
Yeah.
So you're playing in the church band, which is cool. Like, I was just talking about this last night about how like how many mostly like R&B type singers kind of learned to sing in church.
Oh, yeah.
But I think certainly for, people that are roughly our age, like the church band was like much more of a thing because, I think in the 90s they started to be like, oh, if we play music that doesn't suck, the kids will want to come to church.
Oh, yeah. And the production behind it. And it was the whole thing. I remember we played Violent Femmes,
Whoa.
but we reworded it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what song? How'd you
We played the
Sounds like Young Life.
da 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 da
Yeah,
da, like the one
Blister in the
that's
Sun.
real
You
dirty.
were playing
Yeah, yeah.
Blister in the Sun.
Yeah, we were playing Blister in the Sun, but they reworded it to
What were
be.
the words?
I can't even remember. And then after that, after I learned church songs, I was like, okay, like I learned octaves and I learned a little bit of chords. And then I just started writing songs. And I think my friend, Sean Danson, who's still my friend actually, in college, I think the next pivotal moment was, I skipped one person. My friend Barrett Schlegel. He helped us produce our first real record. The one before was produced by like my friend's dad. But Barrett was so interesting, and he makes really cool music, and now he makes film music for stop motion animation. He like thought of music so differently in the way he pieced together our really shitty songs and made them like not shitty.
Who is this at this point?
Yeah, it was a band called Max and the Moon.
This
So
is
that
Max
was your
and the
first
Moon.
band?
Yeah.
Aside from church.
That was like my first band and kind of my only band.
Oh, really?
Like I said, I go all in.
Yeah, really
That's
commit.
amazing.
So how old are you at this point where you're working with Barrett?
So I was 21, 22.
Okay, so pretty young.
Yeah, pretty young. We made a record. It was really cool. Actually, a bunch of labels got really excited about us, and we signed a publishing deal. And then we ended up working with Cherry Tree Records, who's Martin Kierszenbaum and Jody Klein. And Cherry Tree was a part of Interscope, and they had really cool bands. They had Sir Sly, they had Disclosure, Ellie Goulding, Feist.
Oh,
That's great. Yeah.
yes.
So that was kind
Very
of like,
eclectic too.
yeah. And Martin, like every person that I've come into contact with, I feel like I've been really lucky to just learn from really, really smart, passionate people. Like, I think that has been the biggest blessing in my life. And just everybody I'm around is like, if I'm talking now, but if I stop talking and listen, there's so much I've learned from other people.
It's crazy. That's your aura, though, too. I think you attract it because that's what you put out.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. I've learned a lot from you as well.
I can't hug you right now.
We're hugging
Yeah.
now.
Too far.
If I try to hug you, I have to step away from the microphone, and it's an
And you told me
auditory
not
medium.
to do that. Yeah.
So I want to go back to like when you were just starting to write songs right after the church music,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was a lot of covers with changed lyrics.
I started writing some by myself, and I remember showing my mom. And my mom is probably the most influential person that was in my life, because she was honest with me. There would be times where I'd sing a song, and I'm like, "This is better, right?" She's like, "You sound tired." And, she's like, "You should rest." And I'm like,
But like totally
Fuck you,
valuable.
Mom.
Yeah.
"Like, get out of my room."
Yeah.
But then I remember getting to a point where I was doing things, and like, these aren't the first songs that I was writing, but like things were making her cry. And then basically I tell people there's a cry test.
Yeah.
Like, have you cried listening to this music that we've made, or have you cried while writing? Because if you are not touched by what you're doing, there is no way in hell anybody else is going to be.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's so good. That's such a good guideline. I mean, especially if you're writing a certain kind of music, because it's like, yeah, if you're not feeling anything writing it, why would anybody feel anything when they listen to it?
Yeah.
It's true.
But
That moment where you get like crazy chills writing something, you're like, I'm
Yeah.
onto something.
This is it.
Or where it's
Yeah.
just like sometimes like hard to write because you're like, oh man, I'm
Yeah.
going through it. I love that your mom was your sounding board, and that she was like not just like, that's great, honey. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
'cause it-
yeah. Because I
'cause-
lived at home for a while, and she's like, yeah, if you sucked, I'd tell you, because you should do something different.
Yeah, your mom was.
God bless her.
Thank God for your mom. That's great. I think a lot of the people in your life are just gonna be like, that's awesome, and either because they don't have maybe as critical an ear, or just because they love you.
Yeah.
So to have somebody that does love you, but that can also kind of like be a little more circumspect is like an asset.
Yeah.
Was there like a first song, or was there like kind of the moment where you're like, I'm going all in, I want to be a songwriter, I want to write music? You know?
I went to school and I told myself, I'm like, I'm going to do business marketing and minor in music. And I always told people, it's like, yeah, so I could work in the music business. But I think I was just scared of being like, yeah, I want to do this, because I knew I didn't have the skill set yet. There's this Ira Glass thing that I follow very closely, where like you have certain tastes, but like the things that you create don't meet that taste.
Oh my gosh. I was just talking about that with Brittany last night
Oh yeah.
with my music. I don't understand it at all. So sorry, go on.
No.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, and I think that's so interesting because like I've always known like I really like my taste, but like as my self-confidence like as a teenager like went up and down, I was like, oh, maybe I don't know what I like. But like now that like I don't give a shit and as much, like I mean for me, like I'm living my best life. Like I could go eat the food that I want, and I have like a nice place to stay.
Yeah.
And I get to write music every day.
Yes.
It's a dream.
So now, like, I know what my taste is, and I'm like confident in it, and I know when I don't hit it. Mm-hmm. And back then, I knew I wasn't hitting it, but like I was so excited by the journey of it. And Ira Glass like puts it perfectly. It's like you have to create so many things, and so many people know the 10,000 hour rule, but it's like, yeah, but you gotta love it too. You could put 10,000 hours into something and still suck.
Yeah. I've also listened to that thing that Hourglass says, and it's like this idea that if you think you suck, you probably should keep going because you have the sensitivity to know that you're not there yet. Like you have that taste, you have that that sense, and so so keep trying because
That's why you think you suck, is because you know how good it can be.
right,
Yeah.
and if you just like are too like if you're like nope, it's great, no room for improvement, like you're probably wrong.
All set.
Unless you're like on stage and you have that realization moment. And you know what's funny is that realization moment doesn't come like that. Like we had that in Austin when like we were playing a song that like me and Zella made together. And there's a song called Last Time that's not out yet. And just like people hadn't ever heard it and they were so into it and so excited to hear it. And then people, one of the songs I produced for her called You Sexy Thing, like seeing like the comments and like it's the most plays on YouTube that I've had. It's like 11
It's
million.
so good.
And just like knowing.
It's a hot chocolate cover, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Hot
gonna say
chocolate.
like that. You sexy thing.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's so good. Her version is amazing.
Thanks,
and yeah,
man.
you did the whole, it's your fault.
Yeah, thank you.
It's your fault.
Yeah, and where I'm at in my journey now is like, knowing that like I haven't peaked because I still keep meeting other people. I'm not like looking at myself, I'm looking at the external factors. Like I'm around people that challenge me more and I like know my craft more. And as I know it more, I realize what I don't know. Like that all that shit comes true. And also with artists, sometimes it's a thing where they don't know as much as they think they know. And you have to let them go through it. And then at the end, they look at you and they're like, well, thanks for listening. What do you think?
Yeah. Right. You don't need to be a know-it-all about it. Sometimes you just be like, well, okay, we'll try your idea.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see why
Yeah.
my idea might be better.
Well, and you know what's really good about that is sometimes like their idea through my execution is great. But I wouldn't have had that idea.
Right.
And that's the thing where it's like, that's where you really start to create relationships with artists and where I feel like I've blossomed as a human, learning that like my initial idea isn't always the greatest one, but it deserves to be heard. It's actually really nice to talk about this, especially like I'm leaving for 3 weeks in like a week and going and playing music that I've been writing with another artist or been a part of like very heavily. So it's cool to like just be reminded why I love music and where I started.
Everyone
So
starts
thanks
somewhere.
for inviting me.
Of
Yeah,
course.
we're so stoked you could do it, and we're really excited to hear the song.
I guess I just played it, right? Scared of losing things in life, so it all slips through our hands. Our grip is just too tight, and we find it's not the car we don't like. Yeah, it's the road we choose and the way that we drive. What can I do? Do I fear life without? 'Cause you're like the water to me in the desert. No will to live if I can't have you. So set me free, I'm tired of living only for one thing. I didn't choose these ways, but I've been choosing to stay. Hey. Can I have you? Can I have you? Can I have you? You're like the water to me in the desert. No will to live if I can't have you.
Oh my
Oh my
God, that was so
goodness.
good.
I have not played it in a long time
love that.
like that.
Yeah, tell us about like what's the story like behind writing that song?
Well, I don't remember like when I know where I was writing it, and I started this band with my friend Matt Couchois. We recorded it with his dad, but I pretty much wrote that all on my own. And
Is this Max and the Moon?
yeah, that was like our first EP that like then got taken off once we were on the label. And all that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Which, at the time was great because it sounded so emo and sad.
Sometimes I feel like that's a little bit of a sad thing, though, to be like, oh, let's like just pretend the beginning never happened. But I guess that's what this podcast
That's
is
why
for.
we're
Yeah, that's what you guys are here for.
So yeah, you wrote this one by yourself, and was there like any kind of thing that made you write that, or was it just like?
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird looking back at it. I think it has a lot to do with like I felt so constrained by religion and the way I grew up that I felt guilty about everything. And looking back at the lyrics, it's just talking a lot about like, the chorus was probably written about a girlfriend. But really, looking back, like, it feels like scared of like being without like the easy question of what's our purpose. And being like, God, well, no, it's not for me.
Love that. I mean, like your line about it's not the car, it's how you drive, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, well, it's funny because like I had like a kind of revelation of just like people are kind of always talking about the glass, but no one talks about the water that's inside, right?
Yeah.
Was this kind of thing of like the water's going to take the shape of whatever. This is like I'm 14 and I'm deep kind of thoughts maybe, but like
Hey, it's like I'm 34 and high thoughts.
yeah, same, But it's like that where it made me think of that, where it's just kind of like you realize the energy behind it can take whatever shape you put it in, but it's about the energy. It's how you drive the car. It's not about the car.
Well, it's funny you said the shape, like shape of water
There
and
you
like
go.
shape of love and like all these different things. And I think I was just redefining like my value system.
I can imagine that would be like a pretty big deal, especially if you were, at one point very ideologically invested in something that was literally telling you like the meaning of life and existence. And then when you're like, I don't think I actually believe that. What do I do now?
Yeah, it was scary. I even like found myself like clenching my fist right now, just thinking about like those emotions and going through that. It was a crisis. Like,
I don't know. I didn't really grow up religious, so I can't relate entirely, but I will say that I have been sort of jealous of people who are very religious because especially when someone dies, what do you do if you're an atheist? Like, you don't have the comforting thought of like, oh, they're just all up in heaven together. And that I like how much more comfortable it is to have like a nice answer to that.
yeah. And I think that's really beautiful. Nobody's dead until we stop talking about them.
Right.
And I wrote a song with this artist, Lily Kelso, who's very religious. And I wrote 6 songs with her, and we're almost done with her record. There's like 2 songs that stand out. There's one song that was about someone that committed suicide, and then the chorus says, empty shoes on the front porch, 1 foot on the platform, modern God is at the door, but isn't that what the eulogy is for? And it's the idea that like, this person's shoes are like just empty now because they jumped off a platform at the beach and died. And she remembers hearing sirens and thinking about that story and being frustrated that like, all these like preachers and different things that come to your doorstep saying like, hey, let me into your home. God's got this. And she's like, well, I don't believe that. Like, how does God got this? Like, it's really interesting how much you learn from writing with other people.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, yeah. I mean, I was just gonna ask about when that started, like writing more songs with other people. There was Max and the Moon, but then
That's what I was going to ask.
oh, we're same minds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was like one of the best things that happened to me is the other singer and songwriter in the band was like, I asked him to play drums, and he's like, no, I love Chris Martin. I want to play piano and sing.
Matt,
Yeah.
he's a great singer.
Yeah. And
Love
he's
that
like
dude.
a really
Yeah.
good songwriter.
Yeah.
And I think that was when it started. So I went through 10 years of arguing with another person that I truly care about and writing songs and learning how to compromise. And I think that's a lot of something that's missing with, and a lot of things that some people have, but some artists don't know how to jump on a train that's not theirs.
That's
That's an
certainly
understatement.
true.
Yeah.
But I mean, but you totally can and do, and that's so you've been. I mean, are you writing for a solo project now, or your project now, or are you solely collaborating with other people?
Yeah, I need more John songs.
Solely collaborating, but like even one that I just wrote with this artist Lily Kelso, everything I write, I get to write about all my experiences. Like my mom passed 5 years ago now, and one of the songs that we wrote with Lily, she was so kind and she let me take over a little bit. And there's the lyric goes, yeah, I'm walking here. I swear I see your signal. Something inside says good job. It feels just like you're with me. Keep it up and soon you'll be a natural. Everything you taught me, like poetry, the love you leave. And then the chorus goes, it's like Mother Martha from Beatles, but it goes, everybody knows don't doubt Martha because she lives up in the city lights above the street. And then there's another line that I forgot. But yeah, she let me kind of like take over. But then we did it together because it's a lot about like my mom passing and feeling like she's always over my shoulder.
Gosh, it's kind of neat too to like write a song that's so personal and then not be the one to perform it.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think that's kind of cool too because, you know, we were kind of talking about that universality of even sometimes the same music earlier and how, you know, you write a song about loss. I mean, it's maybe specifically about your loss, but so many people have experienced loss that whether it's coming out of your mouth or somebody else's, like almost doesn't matter.
Same
Yeah.
star in the sky.
And like for her, like she came with 2 songs and she let me piece them together. It's so great to like collaborate with someone like that because we would have never written that on our own. So yeah, it means a lot that like people let me into their art and just like, I just try not to fuck it up.
Well, I mean,
You're so good at what you do.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're doing okay.
Thanks.
So you're writing with Lily Kelso, is that right? And Zella Day.
Yeah, I make music with Zella Day. A while back ago, I worked on an Ella Voss record.
Right.
And then, yeah, just writing with a bunch of people. Another artist that is really cool that I work with is named Lily Joy. And then there's another artist named Lindsay Black. I tend to work with all L's.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
funny you
that's,
mentioned Lindsay Black because Spencer, my partner, and I ran into her and her partner at.
Oh, Matt.
Yeah, we ran into them at our favorite vegan bakery, Just What I Needed, and ended up just like their friend like didn't show up, so we just hung out with them for like an hour
They're super sweet.
and talked about their music, like her project that she's working on, and Matt was talking about working with Zella, and so it's just this is all coming together now. I'm really excited to hear this Lindsay Black record.
Oh, yeah, and Matt is like, he will search for something. If it's not right, he will just keep going and going and going. And that's something I've learned because I love their band, Local Natives. And now I've been able to write with Ryan, who's like one of the principal writers in that band, and then also like produce with Matt. And it's so fun to like have been a fan and then like be a part of the creative process. Like same thing with Broods on Monday. And we've had one session together, but like I've been a fan of Broods before like I knew Georgia.
Right, and then you're like,
now they're in
you're
your
like,
house.
what an interesting switch of context this is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've told them, oh, maybe I don't like that. Oh, that's great.
But that's great insight because like that's who the music is for like fans of the music. So you have that extra insight of like,
Yep.
you know what a fan would like here is
Well,
this. You know?
yeah, and also like if I'm the artist, I want to work with a producer who loves my music.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's a requirement for me.
Yeah,
And I'm
well-
lucky that I'm in a position that I can do that.
Well, God forbid your producer should be like phoning in your record. Like, no way, that's terrible. Like,
Yeah.
but
It ends up sounding like something else. Like,
well, or
Like
it's
hot garbage.
hot
well,
garbage.
or they just, or they, you know,
Well mixed garbage.
right. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but so. Do you have anything you'd like to play us, like maybe your favorite Max and the Moon song, or like something you think kind of exemplifies like a
Where the
a more
journey-
contemporary you, I guess?
Or any secret songs
Well,
that we don't know about?
I would actually like, so there's a playlist that I have that's like the production, and I've co-written a lot of it. So people could just check that out.
We'll put a link for sure.
But I think the latest one that really exemplifies my work is the song I did with Lily Joy called Can't See Far. And she had written the verses, and then we wrote the choruses together. The chorus is just really simple. It says, "Slept through the summer dream, let me find you. What does the poor bird need? What does the poor bird need? Let me find you." And I think, like, struggling in a relationship through the pandemic, like, I kind of like, I was writing that for my partner, being like, I can't emotionally connect with you right now. How do I get there?
Yeah, wow. I mean, I remember having this thought probably like last May, like, wow, there is going to be like a whole genre in about a year of just like pandemic music.
Yeah.
You know, because I think, a lot of people were struggling in similar ways. That's very of the moment. I think we can all kind of relate to that feeling of
Well,
like, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Isn't it kind of like when we were teenagers again?
Yes.
Oh, totally.
And it's like some of the
Brilliant.
best music that I've been a part of has been like over the pandemic, writing about like, you know, the political climate and writing about America with someone from Australia and how they see it from the outside.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
It's funny you say teenagers because like the first few days of like lockdown, like my mind went back to growing up on the East Coast in New York and thinking of snow days and just kind of
Yeah.
like, no, you stay home and you're just kind of like, it's a snow day. And I was just like, I guess I'll play video games. I don't know. But it's such a trip.
Yeah, I kind of feel like coming out of the pandemic, I've had the thought more than once of feeling like I'm a teenager again, like
Yeah.
sort of like relearning how to socialize in a way.
Yeah.
Oh, me so much. I went to a party yesterday and I was like, at first I was like, all right, training wheels.
Yeah.
And then I got back into it and I was like, oh, okay, this is really fun.
Because everyone's doing that too.
Yeah, well,
Clumsy steps.
I will
Yep.
say I definitely noticed that, you know, a lot of the people that I've been around seem to be feeling the same sort of, you know, social anxiety or awkwardness, and it's kind of interesting as like a bunch of like successful adults, you know, to sort
Yeah.
of like come back, you know, be kind of trying to like almost like we're doing this for the first time again.
I actually, I don't love it, but I love aspects of it. And one of the aspects I like is everybody is more delicate with their time and chooses the things that are going to be fulfilling for them. Because we've never had a year and a half where we had to stay in one place and think about what we do with our life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it drove a lot of people crazy,
The timeout.
but I think it really helped a lot of people through some revelations.
And the fact that
Yeah.
the whole world.
Yeah.
Like everybody had to do
There was
it.
no FOMO.
Yeah.
There was just COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it did something cool to music too, because I just came back from a tour and I noticed that there's an uptick in respect for music. People are quiet at shows.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we've been home for a long time. We're here to actually see this band now.
Yeah.
I
And it's really
felt
cool.
that.
Yeah, I hope that stays because respect for music was out the window.
Also, you were with a dope artist.
Well, I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say like the live music that I've gone to see, yeah, people are really excited to be there in a way that I think was not quite as much the deal before everything
not at
shut
all.
down.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
There's like
everybody's
people
like,
shushing
oh,
people like, hey, I'm trying to listen.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, everybody seems
Yeah.
way more enthusiastic.
You guys have this podcast, and like, this is really great to just have like people open up to, and like as a resource just of education for like this circle that's sitting here right now and all the people you've sat with.
I love that, man.
It's so interesting
agree.
what
Yes.
like the differences are, and then so many commonalities.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, as much as like I've been like enjoying the opportunity to meet new people and like be outgoing in a way that like normally I might not be, I've also noticed that people by and large seem to be a lot more receptive and open to that, which I think is, you know, fear of them not being is like what would have prevented me from like just like saying, hey, what's your name in the first place?
Yeah.
So
Nobody's going to be like, fuck off.
yeah. Well, I mean,
And if they are, that's a great story.
That is,
yeah. And also
I-
like, okay, I guess I don't really want to talk to you anyway. So
Yeah. Like, fuck you at hot yoga then.
yeah, exactly. Right. Like, yeah, if anybody you're meeting in a social situation now is still like, I don't talk to new people. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah, it's like
You missed the
I mean,
point.
we're all getting older and getting wrinkles. Like,
Hey.
you're not like. sorry.
except for Tony.
A couple of us are getting wrinkles. It's humbling, man. And like, you can't just be like the hottest shit person. And especially like, you know, working in the creative industry, so many things have changed, and it has humbled so many people where, you know, they were at the fucking top, or they feel like they were at the top, and then like just shit happened where they weren't getting that reception of like live shows and different things, and they had to reevaluate how they see themselves as a person.
Well, seeing how much of it can go away,
Yeah.
you know, like, I think that's probably been pretty revelatory for a lot of people to go from getting all of this positive feedback all the time to really not having much opportunity for any, I imagine could be pretty hard.
Yeah, I think like debilitating for some people, and then also just like exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
Probably. Think about how many people you know in like a creative context who, whether they're sort of like successful or not, or just like will never say no to anything, like constantly just hustle, like to a degree that's so unsustainable and at kind of at the detriment of their product probably too.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Because I learned how to say no after the pandemic, and it's been like
Game changer.
I know what
it's
you mean.
completely
Totally.
different.
Yeah.
And it's not like mean.
No, it's like, you know, like you value your time.
Well,
you
or-
value like life.
Yeah,
you know?
well, and also just sort of having a more realistic, I think, understanding of like what you can do, what you
Yeah.
can take, not what you're able to do, but like what you can
Your
take on.
bandwidth.
Yeah,
Your bandwidth,
exactly.
yes.
Like what you can take on and still like feel good and balanced and really like give your all to, and what you
feel
really
like-
want to do.
I feel like if you guys had like a wellness sponsor right now, this is where like we would put it in.
I know,
Like
right?
there's there's like
BetterHelp.
Moon Juice.
Moon juice, yeah.
will give you 3 stars towards like a kombucha powder.
Yeah, are you
That's
listening?
$20.
Moon Juice? We'll do
Learn how
it.
to say no with kombucha.
Yeah, Moon Juice. Like,
I do love Moon Juice.
yeah, it's really good.
I know.
make fun, but I got a gift card and I was excited.
No, I will absolutely spend
Thank you, Zella.
$16 on a like spirulina almond milk date, whatever.
Yeah.
So good with the sex dust.
Oh yeah,
Sex
they have
dust.
the sex dust. I was like, oh,
They got
that's
all the
cool.
dusts.
Yeah, I think we have to wrap it up.
Okay,
but
cool.
It's been
That was fun.
so nice
Thank you,
talking
guys.
to you.
I know.
Thank you
Dude,
so
John,
much.
thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you,
thanks for
John, so
having me.
much.
I miss you, man.
I know. I miss you
It's
too.
been
It was
wait,
great
it's
to
been
meet
too long.
you,
Great to meet you too.
Terence and
Likewise.
Rose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yay. And now we can hug.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Hey, that was John.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what a sweetheart.
So great.
Such
Sweetest.
good energy and so talented.
Oh, the best.
I think I speak for us all when I say we could have talked to him all day.
You do, and we did, and we wanted to.
John has been busy working on new tracks with Lily Joy, Lindsay Black, and Zella Day, and he has a new studio called Studio Fulton. You can DM him on Instagram. This isn't John V is his handle.
How often do you hear somebody awesome on a podcast and say, I want to work with him, and then get the chance to
Right?
slide into their DMs and work
Yeah.
with them?
This is the power of the internet, folks.
Magic.
You can also follow us on Instagram. We hope you'll also subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening.
All of
and
them.
Rate and review if you've got the time, because it really helps us grow our show.
Oh, that's so great.
We appreciate you listening listening. We have so many more great episodes for you. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.